Buddy, and welcome back to the Winter Oceania Grand Slam Tournament 2025. We're now in the Sunday block of our round of 16, and what a better way to kick things off than with a winners bracket match. It is going to be our 7th seed cyger taking on our 10th seed Kurayami Nya, and what'll hopefully be a very exciting match. We're starting to get into those matches where the seed discrepancy is very, very small. As always, my name is Sparky, and I'm joined in commentary booth by none other than a Case. How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty excited. These seeds are very close, meaning a higher chance of TB.
And we have been so close to tiebreaker so many times this weekend already. There are so many 5-3s that are happening that this one could potentially go down to the wire. It's very much a case where I feel like the skill sets of these two players are overlapping more than in other cases, in other matches that we have seen so far this weekend. There have been some very clear-cut Rice versus LN battles, but with these two, I'm not too sure. Like, they could match each other on LNs pretty well. They can match each other on Rice pretty alright. I feel like whoever gets that first break point in this match, it's going to be very hard for the other player to get it back, so to speak.
Yeah. I would like a momentum kind of like style, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gonna get the warm-ups underway here. I believe this one is Kurayami's warm-up, so, I mean, not really something worth expending a lot of energy on. There are some really physical maps in this pool, but there could be some benefit to playing stuff that's in and around the ballpark of what we're going to be seeing in terms of overall BPM range. 219 is about 15 clicks under what Rice 6 is, and it's only a couple clicks higher than AO Infinity. And the patterning is relatively the same. It's very jump stream centric, so good way to kind of get yourself in that headspace if you're angling to potentially go for some of those Rice picks. You can see some split trill, jump trill-esque patterns in this as well. So overall, not the worst warm-up to go into if you really want to kind of hunker down and kind of tip your hand a little bit as to what you're going to want to go for. So we're going to strap in here for about 3.5 minutes of this. It'd be really funny if Rice 6 gets banned, so this could potentially be the longest map we see in this match in the warm-ups.
Yes, this is definitely a warm-up, something to warm you up, exactly. But hey, let's see.
Yeah, for right now, I mean, as I mentioned before, this is a winner's bracket match, so not really as much on the line as we have seen in prior matches. We have had to run through basically a gauntlet of losers bracket matches to set those conditionals. A lot of them have already been decided in terms of what that second match is going to be for a lot of the players. A reminder, if you are in the lower bracket and you won on Saturday and you haven't had your second match, you have a second match. Please show up to it. We don't want people winning by default because somebody forgore that they had a second match. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Might as well get that PSA out there while we wait for this warm-up to finish up, as I mean, I imagine cyger are taking this about as seriously as they take their warm-up creation. So kind of a foregone conclusion. If we're keeping track of anything, this is basically the quintessential warm-up experience. One player wanting to take theirs as an opportunity to get ready, the other one not wanting to waste the energy.
Very excited to see what cyger has in his bag for the warm-up.
Oh god, what cyger creation are we in store for here? Hopefully it's not, I mean, it's not a World Cup-esque tournament, so I wouldn't expect there to be like abridged cover of the Chinese national anthem. He pulled that. I was on a team with him for a World Cup-esque tournament for one key, and he rolled up with the Canadian national anthem when we played against Canada. So I'm expecting a banger. I'll be severely disappointed if this does not elicit even the tiniest of giggles.
Mhm.
But I think they do have a warm up. Actually, why am I saying this like if though it's a surprise? They actually threw a warm up in here, and it might actually be a serious warm up.
This is very rare, I would say.
Yeah, I think cyger is kind of locked in, as people like to say. It is a Logan map and another pretty long one as well. So
Ooh, rare, not custom cyger. Yeah.
yeah, actually wanting to take the opportunity to get settled in. I'm saying it's a Logan map. I imagine I'm trying to remember what this chart looks like. I know I've seen it. I know this has appeared in map pooling sheets when I've been on when I've been in pooling stuff and for like playtesting, but this I feel so bad because I should know what this chart is like, but I guess we'll find out. We'll go on a journey together. Apparently cyger threw this in as a warm-up, got re-uploaded, so they had a expired version of it.
Oh yeah, this map was used from DIC's finals week 1.
Ah, I see. That's why I had familiarity with it. It was from there.
I was thinking about that too.
Listen, I have the memory of a goldfish, and to be fair, I playtested most things in Dyna's Intermediate Cup all the way up to like quarterfinals, because my hands were getting obliterated in playtesting. So I'm definitely not the best judge of harder maps. So this definitely very much outside of my comfort zone. So no wonder I couldn't remember it. That, and to be fair, I remember Logan's LN maps a lot more. I've played a lot of Logan's LN charts.
Yeah, that's fair. Those finals maps scaled way too pretty fast. I'm not gonna lie.
Listen, if they die, they die, and that's been the MO for a lot of a lot of those tournaments. So as we continue on here, that's a new one. Wait, that's so weird. So Kura failed. So wait, but cyger had no fail. What? That counts?
Yeah. So what happens since this is in team versus team mode?
It's
one person fails.
Teams. That's right.
Yeah, one person fails and they don't have no fail.
Thank you.
Or DC or something.
It is so rare when a 1v1 uses team versus. I'm so used to it just being get in the lobby and hash it out free for all style, and that's it. Completely forgot that team versus does that, because it technically counts the entirety of blue team has failed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll do it for that warm up. It got the job. Oh boy, the 94 to
classic cyger roll. Oh my.
Yes, this is peak cyger rolling moment. I can't wait for this to be a clip. But first protect will go to Kurayami. Might be a blessing in disguise. I've found in this tournament I preferred picking second because my headspace is I would love to just break the person's first pick. And it looks like we're starting off with a bit of a spicy one. Rice 4 going to get protected, so giving some love to one of our tech maps here as cyger is up to protect. Wouldn't be surprised if they threw out an LN protect in response. They are a pretty formidable LN player. That being said, they are more than physically capable of handling these Rice charts, and sure enough, Rice 6 is going to be it, looking to try and out-physical Kurayami, so could take a pretty interesting turn as we go into the ban sequence, maybe opting to eliminate one of the more awkward Rice charts, or maybe something like Hybrid 3 might be on the cards for removal. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, these player skills are really hand-to-hand, especially seeing the round of 32 scores from a week back. They're really close together. So let's see.
Yeah, it's going to be Hybrid 1 being removed, so no Hestia going to be played here. Maybe just not wanting to play into the straightforwardness of the chart. It does have its awkward moments, but definitely not the hardest. Oh, actually, keeping Hybrid 3 around is smart in cyger's case. They are a pretty good SV player. So maybe putting some practice into it, keeping it around, keeping that awkward hybrid around might be their strategy. And Kurayami going to remove Rice 1, so probably Rice 6 would have been their ban if it hadn't been protected. So next best option, getting rid of AO Infinity, basically Rice 6 Light, and then going straight into LN1.
Yeah, these bans and picks and protects are like very methodical, like very interesting. It's not like I'm so good at Ellen, I'm gonna protect Ellen, but these are very specific picks, I think.
For sure, and it gives us a bit of insight that it's true to what I was alluding to a bit when this match started, where the skill fundamentals on these skill sets is overlapping so much that it's like, okay, we're just going to protect comfort, ban out anything we don't score well on, and we'll kind of just figure it out from there. Cyger hopping off for just a moment, turn off the leaderboard before diving into the match as we get things underway. First player to 5 points, best of 9 format. We're moving on to winners, quarterfinals. Loser will go down into that losers bracket, and oh boy, I would not want to go up against either of these players in the losers bracket. So getting this one underway here. Pretty solid starts for both players, hovering in and around that 99.7 range. One of the longer LN charts we have here at about 2.5 minutes. Does give some room for recovery, but once you reach a certain threshold about halfway through the chart, it does do quite a significant amount of damage if you do find a drop. Some interesting release patterns littered throughout. Very coordination based, but definitely can give you a bit of an issue with some of the sporadic light density, light release elements that can be found, and both of them navigating it very well as it stands a third of the way through the chart, basically in lockstep with each other. Cyger looking to contest against Kurayami's first pick here as we continue on here.
Yeah, the scores are very, very tight. Like, one judgment can ruin like someone's like whole the whole map for a point. Like, really close.
Yeah, I don't think either of these players has dropped a 200 as of yet. Maybe one here as we continue on halfway through the chart already. 7 hundredths of a percent separating the two players. Nine inseparable, but Kurayami still holding on to the advantage for right now. 1,400 points to the good with a third of the map still left to go. Both these players are very comfortable on this LN chart as it stands.
Yeah. Going to the third quarter of the last quarter of the map, still basically the same score difference throughout the whole time. It's like nothing has changed, but it seems like we'll see in the later quarter. Maybe something will majorly change at the end.
Potentially, cyger has been climbing up into that 99.7 range, has been on the lower end of it. Kurayami still staying strong, 99.79 for them. And I mean, I don't know about you, one of these players is going to be sorely disappointed by that result screen where it's like, okay, I put literally everything I had into this chart and more, and I still managed to lose. It's gonna hurt real bad as we make our way into the last sliver. Last couple of structures to read through. Watch the releases. It is 3,000 points for Kurayami, and they managed to secure that first point, but not with a bit of a fight there. 200s of cyger's name, just getting out ratioed there at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's very close. Going to Rice 3. Seeing if Rice will trip his opponent up. Maybe will.
Potentially. Cyger no stranger to this chart. If I recall correctly, the original version, I think this is a low LN edit, was used in, I believe, MBS 3. And I want to say they were still in the tournament when they had to play it, so maybe familiar with the original version. So this one definitely up their alley, and looking to try and equalize here. Kurayami in a position to get that first break point as we continue on here, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I like how both players using the no-fail just in case if something bad happens.
Yeah, the trauma of that warm-up. It's one of those where it's like, you turn it on, you leave it on, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's just there.
Always think that no-fail always gives you extra points.
Oh yeah, the no-fail buff is absolutely real.
Yeah, 100%.
So here we go into the first drop. Both players making it through the first real test of can they handle these mini jack patterns that are littered throughout this chart, and a couple of these 1/8 rolls. Easy patterns, just staircase based, but can trip you up if you're not too careful. The one pattern to watch out for is that there's an inner column trill right here. Both players making it through into the LN anchors, transitioning very nicely. Cyger ahead by about half of a tenth of a percent. Finally got it out there as we transition into the second, third, back half, quickly approaching, nursing about a 1,500 point lead. No misses for either of these players so far to start this match off. The pinnacle of perfection as we make our way into the next drop.
Yeah, just like back in the LN map, both players not giving up that much space. Very close in score difference, not gonna lie.
Yeah, this is still very close between the two of them. There's still a couple of awkward transitional moments here. So Cyger not out of the woods just yet, not free and clear. There's a couple of these mini jacks that begin to rain down a little bit more with some of the bursts as well, but they have been dialed in for right now. Last major pitfall section now with the last sliver of chart coming through. Cyger only extending that lead, 3,300 points by virtue of their accuracy going into this ending. Can they keep it clean? Can they answer back? They do. A 990k on Rice 3 to equalize and make it 1-1.
Yeah, these ratios very similar. I'm not gonna like pretty close, even with these accuracy. Dang.
Yeah, Cyger winning the ratio battle on the Rice pick. I mean, like I said, the overlap. You can basically, if you draw a Venn diagram, it is essentially a flat circle. It is a singular circle between these two through two maps. It's just going to be a matter of who blinks first in the matchup, who finds that one critical mistake. LN3 going to be the pick for Kurayami for their second pick in this match. Gonna stick to the LNs. LN1, little bit dicey in terms of how much pressure cyger was putting in terms of their LN accuracy. This one a little bit more straightforward. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the only real hard section in this, outside of handling the tiny anchors on the outer columns, is when it transitions into that 1/4 density section where you're having to hold up to 3 notes at once and transition through that whole melody section. It's not just hit and release, it's hit and hold and make sure you release everything at the same time. So gotta watch out for that, but with the way these two have been playing, I imagine they'll make light work of it.
Opening, same as always, very close in scores. No one's pulling away, like always sticking close.
Yeah, much closer than LN1 for the moment. Hundreds of points, a bit of a tug of war going on with the leaderboard at the moment. I saw cyger drop a 200 early on, but recovering it from it very nicely, actually taking the lead in terms of overall accuracy over Kurayami for now, going into the second third here. And this is all very 1-2 based, so once you dial in when those releases are, there is very little in terms of breaking up that release structure. So just free time getting Rainbow 300s, and here's that melody section I was referring to with these staircase starts. Both of them building in terms of their accuracy, equalizing with each other. There is very little. You can put a postcard between these two and you can cover that score gap between the two of them. Kurayami retaking the advantage in terms of the accuracy, 500% with a quarter of the map left to go here.
Yeah, 1-200 will probably make or break this map. Like, still super close. No clue how or why these players' skills are so close together. But hey, better chance of a TB. All I gotta say.
Absolutely, and with only about 5% of the map left to go, last couple of patterns raining down here, Kurayami built their accuracy. Cyger fell from their perch a little bit, and that was enough of an opening for Kurayami to re-secure this pick. The 990s do not stop. We have had at least one in each of these maps, and it is just haymakers being thrown here as Cyger is up to pick once again.
I assume probably another rice pig. Trying to hover over the strength currently that's happening. But let's see.
Yeah, I could see something like maybe Rice 2, Rice 4, if they wanted to stay with these more technical oriented picks. Kurigami is saying it's like they have to PB all these maps to beat Cyger. They know. They know the amount of pressure being applied to them by Cyger on these LN picks. They cannot afford to slip up, and it's going to be Rice 6, so going straight into that protect here for Cyger to maybe wear out Kurayami on the longest pick in this pool outside of the tiebreaker. Yeah, this is a very, very hard Rice chart to read through. Players have been making very light work of it, though. I imagine just the propensity for a lot of players to latch onto jump stream makes it so that reading through this for extended periods isn't that big of a deal. But if you aren't comfortable handling this level, this high of a BPM for this long of a time, just singular blips here and there are enough to make or break this chart. And we could potentially see the first actual miss in this match on this map.
As cyger was saying, I'm just picking MVS maps. Alright, as long as we be picking up with the familiarity, hey, that's all I gotta say. Dominator is good.
Yeah. Yeah, this was in, I think, Grand Finals for MBS. So seeing it around a 16 here, MBS was 4 years ago now, which is insane to think about. 3 or 4. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But I want to say it was 2021 when that happened, because it was, I want to say, during the tail end of the lockdown era in the States. But that's neither here or there. But what is happening here is these two are once again in a near dead heat. A little bit lower accuracy than what we have been seeing, but that I think can be attributed to how difficult this chart is to swing good accuracy. Once you get settled in, it's kind of just course correction and rebuilding any potential accuracy loss. I think Cyger's been doing a little bit better of a job with that overall. 0.2% ahead. The largest gap we have seen now that we pick right back up. We see a couple more 200s beginning to damage, but I think Kurayami's seeing a little bit more in terms of accuracy loss in comparison, but we're only just finishing up the first quarter of this map.
Yeah, stamina, a really big part of that in this map, because, damn, it's like these rolls really seems painful.
Non-stop staircases, it is very easy to lose your way. It is all 1/4 base. It feels like 1/8 if you're not comfortable with the speed. But for right now, both of them handling it beautifully. Both FCs still on the board here as we approach the halfway point. And again, very little separating these two players. 99.5 to 99.3, 2,000 points. A little bit edging towards that 3,000, 4,000 point mark as I think trying to make it to the end of some of these sections. Kurayami going to find the first break in this match, transitioning out of that section. The strain just a little bit too much for them, and once things calm down, that's when the break happened. And this is going to give cyger a bit of a cushion to work with in this last third. 8,000 points now with the miss in the back pocket to work with as well. There's a reason they protected this. They can handle this level of jump stream for this long as it stands.
Yeah, that max combo score thing. Multiplier? Yeah.
The 400,
this is making a bigger gap, making a bigger cushion for cyger to keep on going and maybe able to take this point from this map.
Yeah, not impervious to finding the 200s on this section. The LNs make their appearance. Not the easiest to traverse, but definitely not enough to cause that much discomfort, but you definitely do gotta respect the releases as they come through, taking quite a bit of a beating in terms of their accuracy, falling about 2% back into the clutches of Kurayami and cutting the score lead in half just off that alone, because of the fact that Kurayami was able to gracefully recover back up to that 400 combo cap, and now it has a combo to withstand against cyger with the last sliver of chart coming through here. It is only 4,700 points, can turn in an instant if the players aren't careful enough, but it's just a final push to make it through these last couple of sections here.
The last sliver seems like cyger gets its point.
Yeah, a protect well earned, well defended. The FC coming through here. And finally, the first non-990k scorer, Kurayami actually winning the ratio battle between the two of them, just not able to keep those bottom three columns clean. 100, 150, and one miss.
Yeah, these picks from these both players, very accurate. Noticing like their strengths and abusing it, which is really good.
For sure. So for Kurayami, I imagine LN2 might be on the cards, but no, actually going to flip the script a little bit. Hybrid 2 going to be the pick instead. Makes sense. The more LN-oriented hybrid. Probably going to avoid Hybrid 3. Keep LN2 in the back pocket, potentially. But, I mean, the onus is going to fall on one of these players to break away from their preferred skill set. I think cyger has a little bit more of an advantage if they're going to stick to all rice. I mean, to be fair, I think their method is just pick all the MBS charts, but I think all the MBS charts are done here, so gonna need to slide back into the rest of the map pool before too long. So it'll be interesting to see what they pivot towards, but for right now, Kurayami going to unleash the first hybrid of this match.
Yeah, I feel like cyger in the hybrids is really strong, so pretty scary, not gonna lie. Let's see though. Let's see the scores.
Yeah, I imagine this is very much a comfort pick for both these players. They have shown a very strong propensity to be able to sharpshoot some of these harder LN structures. And I think this is the first real one where we have like a real test of release capability outside of the actual proper LN picks. But I mean, they destroyed those, if I'm being honest. So as we get this map underway, players are going to settle in. We'll see how the accuracy shapes up once they cross that 400 combo cap, because right now it is going to vary wildly. Tenths of a percent can fly by in an instant. As we get settled in here, another pretty long chart by all intents, but doesn't seem to bother the players too much, willingly going into them, as Kurayami picks up a 200 to equalize the accuracy, and it is double-digit points of a difference at times between these two players. Once again, I mentioned it was a postage stamp. Now you could fit a thread through a needle between these two scorer gaps. But that being said, we make our way into the second third of the chart now, and we start to see the discrepancies begin to grow about a tenth of a percent in favor of Kurayami for now, with 2/3 of the map left to go. These sharper, more staccato LN releases catching out cyger, not in terms of dropping 200s, but just a rush of 300s. Their UR bar trending a little bit early on some of those. Kurayami not immune to it either, but able to keep it just a little bit steadier on the starts. With half the map left to go, it is still anybody's game here.
Yeah, I like to see that every time. I think like all of these maps, they've never gotten past a 4-digit score gap until like the half point of the map, which is really insane. I'd say.
Yeah, I think the closest we got was the previous one, Rice 6, Send My Love to Mars, in terms of Kurayami finding that break on it that gave cyger that buffer. But even then, that evaporated as the accuracies evened up a little bit towards the end. But as we make our way into the last quarter of this chart, it is a tenth of a percent in favor of Kurayami, able to navigate the LN structures, now transitioning into a little bit of rice flavoring here and there. The bursts aren't the most awkward to read through, but definitely do warrant full attention as you read your way through it. But I mean, as it stands, both these players are untouchable on their picks, it feels like. No major blunders to potentially risk giving over a breakpoint, but the pressure being applied by their respective opponents is forcing them to overperform, it feels like, on their picks to ensure that they don't give it up. And 1,700 points. There is so little separating these two players. Kurayami makes it 2-3 now. No breakpoints yet.
Yeah, it's always been down to this ratio. I'm just like, wow. Very close.
And now cyger up to pick once again. The question being posed, what do you go for to maintain parity? They have definitely had a bit of an advantage on the rice picks. Maybe not with pure ratio in some cases, but at least being able to keep those 200 counts low. AO Infinity isn't available, so straightforward rice might be out the window. If they wanted to maybe keep it standard, rice 5 for core jack, the transitions in between with the little staircase rolls here and there, not really the most uncomfortable, maybe just like Libertas-esque. I feel like instant emotion and ankle biters are kind of risky in the grand scheme of things with how different they are from what we have been seeing. So, I mean, gotta make this one count. This is a very make or break type of point. You don't want to give your opponent a match point situation and their pick as well.
I think Hybrid 3 will change up the pace of the match. I'm not gonna lie.
It would definitely be a very spicy pick.
Yeah, something will mix up the opponent for the next map, maybe.
I would love to see it. It has been avoided like the plague. Nobody wants to get into that little bit of an SV showdown, but I feel like if there is a player that is bold enough to do it, it would be cyger, but for right now, really taking their time on this one, deliberating very much so. I get that it was a bit that they were picking all the MBS charts, but there are other maps. You can go into the soft maps, you can go into the ones that were considered for like Cold Open Cup and Dyna's Intermediate Cup. And it's gonna be Hybrid 3. Here we go. Here we go. We are going to get a little goofy with it. A little silly. It is gonna be XYZ.
Yeah, very solid pick, I'd say.
I like it.
Yeah.
Could backfire. There's always a chance that it backfires, but like I mentioned, cyger not one to shy away from SV in general. So could be a comfort pick. It is littered with deceptive snaps where things are much faster than you're expecting at times. This opening gamut is going to really set the tone. Once we get into this first anchored LN, we see a massive rush of rice notes on the other three columns. It's funny, they get to see their scores this early on. cyger will see that they are winning. And so far, neither player really perturbed by the sudden slowdowns, sudden speed-ups of this chart. Could change in an instant. These bursts are very awkward to read through, but with the way these two have been playing, been able to navigate harder rhythms on other charts in this match, maybe just light work for them as we continue on into the next quarter of the chart. cyger building up a bit of a 0.3% accuracy advantage to the tune of about 4,000 points, give or take a couple hundred.
Yeah, this has been the largest score gap so far, like before the half point. Really surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, outside of the miss in Rice 6, I do believe you're right. This is the largest earned advantage, about 4,000 points. The fact that it's only 4,000 points between the two players is insane. And that being said, Kurayami is starting to make some inroads in that lead, building up their accuracy. If they can slide up to contest, we have seen cyger drop accuracy in the later portions of charts. There's a 200 right there to even things up just a little bit. Lead shrinking ever so slightly, 3,400 points with a quarter of the map still left to go. All the real major gimmicks of this chart basically over. That quad might have been the last tripping point. A couple of syncopated patterns. cyger actually pick up a number of 200s on those chords, but Kurayami answers back with a couple of their own on that slow LN. They're trading some of these lesser judgments between each other, and any progress that Kurayami might have made, able to shrink it to about 0.1%, gone in an instant with an eighth of the chart still left to go. 0.25% is the buffer for cyger, back up to 6,000 point lead with only the outro to read through.
Yeah, these SVs definitely messing these judgments up sometimes. But it's more in the favor of cyger currently. And probably till the end of the whole map.
And there we go, the spiciest pick in this pool goes the way of cyger, out-ratioing Kurayami, getting a much lower 200 count as well, having it, in fact, to tie it up 3-3 and pinch Kurayami's options potentially. I don't think they would have willingly gone into this unless it was like a break glass in case of emergency option, but they did have LN2 in the back pocket, so I imagine LN2 is the pick here for them to close out.
Whoa.
But no, it's going to be Rice 4. They didn't protect LN2, mind you. This was their protect, if I recall correctly. So, oh, they're saying they have no map to pick. I mean, Foolish Hero is right there. You didn't have to go into the Rice. But
yeah, the LN was working it.
They were out-acting cyger on the LNs, but maybe just not trusting themselves enough to go into it willingly. Ooh, I'm not the biggest fan of this pick with the way things have been going. But as it stands, I mean, they're the ones playing. I can only speculate. And when it comes down to it, they're going to have to be the ones to perform. So one risky pick begets another. We go into Rice 4, Kurayami's final pick in this match, regardless of what happens.
Man, it's always so close in the beginning.
Yeah, there is nothing separating these players. I'll wait until we get up over that 400 combo cap before I start determining on who actually has a lead here, because with how rhythmically dense, how snap heavy this chart can be, it can flicker so wildly. We saw a 3/10 advantage gone in an instant, sliding back to about 0.1%. These two are going to be trading back and forth unless there is a very clean miss from one of them. It will be too close to call. We're already a third of the way through one of these shorter Rice charts in this pool. And as it stands, cyger ahead, 99.7 for them, able to sharpshoot this just a little bit better than Kurayami for now, but they're starting to climb up in their own right. A number of 200s raining down on their end, though, going to bring them tumbling back down just a little bit. Traded a little bit. A rush of 300s from cyger to respawn. Takes a little bit less damage, but does even it out just ever so slightly with a third of the chart left to go. It is still anybody's game.
Yeah, so close. One miss might be over. But damn.
Yeah, it is ridiculous the level of consistency these two players have. There's only been one miss in this entire match, and that was on Rice 6. And as we make our way to this outro, there's still some really hard patterns to read through, but they have been making quick work of them. The gap, about 0.2%. Kurayami had LN2, potentially, but cyger finds the drop. Can they hang on here? It is 0.1%. It is hundreds of points going the way of Kurayami. Not going to trade it back, and they build the advantage and squeak it out by the narrowest of margins.
Oh my gosh. That ratio.
Oh boy, I was gonna go into a tirade about breakpoints. I was doubting this pick, but at the end of the day, they managed to hang on. And Kurayami saying it, they just banked on cyger missing, and they got it. Oh, that is dangerous, but. Now cyger up to pick now. The cyger method failed.
What? with cyger pick from the rest of these maps.
I mean,
Fun.
it feels like they have a bit more options in terms of what they could go for. With the way Instant Emotion went, I wouldn't want them to go into something like ankle biters. I feel like Grin might be the safer pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
LN2,
Ooh.
I mean, it's there. It's gonna be so
Ooh.
for real. Why are you so scared of LN2?
Yeah, calling the bluff. Might go for it.
Is it a bait? Is it a feint? Do they want cyger to pick it to potentially break him on it? Because, I mean, Kurayami has been untouchable on the LNs. cyger hasn't been able to make any inroads into that ratio. That is arguably the best way to put it. It is a game of chicken. And Kurayami played the game of chicken, and dare say, I think they won with Rice 4. That was their bit of a roulette gamble, and very nearly came close to not paying off. But this is now cyger now needing to make the pick to force this to go to tiebreaker. And I don't know about you, Case. I'm not sure who wins the tiebreaker.
Ooh.
Oh,
Calling out the bluff.
okay. I said I didn't like Kurayami's Rice 4 pick. I don't like this LN2 pick.
Yeah.
But I am 0 for 1. For cyger's sake, I hope I go 0 for 2. Because I do want to see a tiebreaker this weekend.
Yes, I agree as well. If I was cyger, I'd say that if I had like a Rice pick that I didn't miss on, I think I'd go for it. But let's see.
Yeah. So, cyger's final pick in this match, one of two things will happen. Kurayami either wins or we go to tiebreaker.
Yeah. Hopefully not a 3-5 like the past.
Another 3-5.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
It makes for high drama.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the build up to getting there is just as satisfying as actually getting it. We saw a nail biter 22-point difference in the match prior, preventing us from seeing the tiebreaker. Will we get something like that here? It is cyger's pick going into LN2. Kurayami is 2 for 2 on the LN charts. cyger looking to try and make it 2 out of 3. So as we get this map, you're right, this is the lowest accuracy Kurayami has had to start an LN chart. Down into that 99.6, 99.5 range. cyger up in that 99.7 mark, but as we have seen on these LN charts, they just start to bleed hundreds of a percent as the map progresses, and it brings Kurayami back into it because they can build. They have been able to build their way back into these maps, and we're seeing it happen once again. cyger now behind by that full tenth of a percent as it stands. Another couple of 200s beginning to rain down with a third of the map left to go, and the misses coming through on the mini jacks. Oh, and that is going to potentially spell the end. The last couple of drops, I think they realized they messed up. That is the simplest way to put it. They had it in their court. It is just playing it out for sportsmanship, but they see the writing on the wall. It is going to be Kurayami pulling off the minor upset in terms of seeding, at least, over cyger on the LN2 pick. And it is going to be yet another 3-5 scoreline. Kurayami punches their ticket into the winners quarterfinals with a 990k to close things out. Probably the question mark's going to come through in the chat, but yeah, cyger, you got to feel for him there. Yeah, even Kuriyami's like, what happened? It's like they missed and they knew it was over. But I mean, congratulations to Kurayami. They were able to hold their own 3 for 3 on the LNs and making that bold Rice 4 pick on their final pick, paying off. It was a lag spike. Oh, God, no. That is unfortunate. You hate to see it. But, I mean, you gotta feel for him, because you never want it to be decided by hardware issues. But it does explain why it was such a sudden drop, uncharacteristic even. But, I mean, that doesn't take away from the performance Kurayami put up. Congratulations to them. They will be moving on in the winner's bracket. Cyger not out of it just yet, just gonna need to make the run probably sooner than they probably would have liked in that loser's bracket. As we take a quick glance down here. Give me a 5-3, another 5-3. It's funny, Kurayami actually winning a 5-3 last weekend also to make it here. So just riding that scoreline, avoiding the tiebreakers by any means necessary. And looks like it'll be Cyger will be facing off against the winner of Blade versus somebody whose name is chopped off because we're only allowed 4 characters. But with that being said, that is it for this match. We'll be back in a number of hours. We're gonna take a pretty decent break here and be returning at, I believe, 9 UTC for our next one. It's gonna be OTEC versus Fushi VN. So definitely don't want to miss that one. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.